What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this His Dark Materials Season 2, Episode 5, The Scholar Breakdown and Spoiler Review. Now, there will be a few spoilers and book spoilers in this video, so please do be warned, but now, let's get into it. So we start off after last week where Coulter has arrived in Will's Oxford after a detour through the Chittagazi, and she looks around and seems to be in wonder of this world. Boreal right away brings her down to earth by saying how this Earth's governments are more corrupt than the magisterium and that we worship consumerism instead of religion. Hey, that's pretty spot on, but I'd rather have dodgy Tories giving their mates contracts than live in a world of religious persecution, although a cute animal following me around would be pretty cool. Will is now the official bearer of the subtle knife and safe from the spectres as he's so close to becoming a man. We saw the previous bearer die because he doesn't have it anymore and the spectres ate him right up. We would learn later this episode that the boy who stole the knife did it so he can survive the spectres, and Angelica wants revenge on Will. I really like the dark idea that while the kids are safe, they will inevitably grow up and become very much in danger of the spectres. Pretty harrowing stuff. Will tries to use a knife but is just struggling to get to grips with it. Boreal shows Coulter his home like he's a young lad who's got a girl around and showing her his collection of beer bottles. Seriously, why do young guys collect their empty beer bottles at university? And also his limited edition pops. She's uninterested in the trinkets he's collected, and he reveals his plan for stealing the alethiometer so that he can lure Lyra into his home as a present for Coulter herself. Boreal is simplistic and just does things for greed and simply wants to add Coulter to his collection. He says how his home is a fortress, but I can't help but think he's very dumb for thinking that they won't use the knife to break in and get the powerful device back. Boreal tells Coulter about the cave and she wants to see it and seems shocked that women are academics, and he puts on some love music, but she's really not feeling it. There wasn't much magisterium this episode, but it's clear they are severely losing control as MacPhail hears of the witches killing their soldiers and going into the anomaly. One of them suggests that they should publicly denounce it, but gets taken away as MacPhail is seemingly very much out of his depth. I expect we will see more of them in the later season as they're involved in the major end battle in the third book, and they're also involved in some really harrowing parts in the latter part of the subtle knife, so expect that possibly next episode. They're very anti-Azrael, so it's going to get spicy here, and Coulter is now added to their list of targets. But Coulter looks like an absolute icon in her pantsuit. Man, she pulls that off as she goes to leave and visit Mary, but Boreal mentions the demon not being with her. Of course, they would wonder, why is there a demon there? She's able to leave it behind, causing her pain, and mentions witches to Boreal, implying that she is not going to do a single damn thing he says, and he's made a grave mistake thinking that he can actually control her because she is incredibly headstrong. Just look at her daughter there. Coulter goes to meet Mary and explains how she is an experimental theologian and Lyra's mother. Mary gushes over Lyra after Coulter apologises for her, maybe disrupting her. They discuss religion and science, and Coulter, after asks what's the connection between religion and science, and Coulter says, and to paraphrase here, where do they not interconnect? I mean, it does on her world, and I will never forget how in Angels and Demons by Dan Brown, he explained it with the cardinals at CERN wanting to explain the unknown as it answers Christianity's mysteries, except the magisterium are closed-minded and just want to control everyone, and they're just absolute horrible little people. Coulter becomes overwhelmed after she learns that Lyra can use the alethiometer and knows so much about dark matter and dust. Mary is then searching for Coulter on Google and is told by the angels of the dust from the machine that she is to play the serpent. Of course, the serpent in religion is a temptress, just like the snake in the Garden of Eden, tempting Eve to have the forbidden fruit. Yes, even back then it was absolutely misogynistic. I won't say too much about the spoilers from the story of the books, but we have a male and a female and a serpent, and the whole heaven and hell story forming the latter third of the trilogy will present itself in the last few episodes. Coulter is visibly shaken and feels that if she lived in this world, she could have been something great. In her world, she was a brilliant scientist and has written many papers and was top in her class, but as a woman, she wasn't allowed to be given a doctorate and can only publish her papers if a man takes credit. She's a few drinks down and dropping truth bombs as she seems angry that Boreal has frivolously wasted his only opportunities in this world and theirs, but he's used this to create a window to just create wealth and share trinkets. Coulter also mentions of her affair with Azrael and how it's portrayed that he seduced her and abandoned her, clearly a lie to save face as she was married at the time, further hinting at the sexist nature of her world. Boreal loves her and wants to keep her, but has no idea what to do with her. She says that, well, he really does not understand her. She's a serious badass, and I get the feeling that she's really going to go full scorched earth here. And some of these scenes with Boreal and Coulter are just powerful. It's just stunning, this show. And while not a lot happened, the performances just had me gripped throughout. Will and Lyra plan their attack, realising that the worlds match up with the Chittagazi and, of course, Will's Oxford, and then go for a two-pronged attack, with Lyra arriving at the front door and Will going through the basement. She turns up as Will tries to get the alethiometer back, but is attacked by Coulter's demons as Boreal brings Lyra downstairs and Lyra is in shock that her mother has arrived. We have a savage fight with Will fighting Boreal and Lyra and Coulter essentially having a Pokemon battle with their demons. It shows how Coulter can withstand so much pain, which was a powerful scene. Boreal hints at Will's mother and makes veiled threats at her as the pair manage to escape with the alethiometer. Boreal says how they can't get them back as the spectres roam Chittagazi, which is why he wanted the knife so he can travel there and other worlds freely and leave windows open without the threat of spectres. In the books, she does manage to control them, which is alluded to in her talk of the witches earlier, as she has immense power. In the books, a witch was actually sent to spy on this lot, but it may happen next episode, as it really should have happened by now, and Mary is able to head through the window to Chittagazi. The angel said she would be protected, which means they will stop the spectres so that she can roam and get Lyra and continue on her path, but there will be a few obstacles on the way. While not a lot happened this episode action-wise, I loved it as the performances were powerful and it's a good pace after last week's riot of an episode. But next week is called Malice and will, I imagine, focuses on the church's wrath against Coulter, the witches, Scoresby, and their plans to head into other worlds. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'd love to hear what you think down below in the comments section. And if you enjoyed the video, a like is super appreciated, and do subscribe with notifications on so you never miss a video. On my community tab, I've put up my schedule for this week, and just add to that as well, I will be covering the show Detention on Saturday coming as well. But that is it for this video. Please do stay safe, and I will see you soon, and goodbye.